Welcome back to Season 3 World Championships, ladies and gentlemen. In just a couple of minutes, it is going to be the sequel of Fnatic versus Vulcun. But first, I am very happy to welcome Ozone's Imp to the interview lounge. So first off, obviously a fantastic game by you guys, but were you surprised right at the start that Gambit didn't go for that 2v1 lane switch?
임프 선수 일단 그 좋은 경기 펼친 거 축하드리고요. 경기 초반에 그 레인 스위치가 일어나지 않았는데 갬빗 게이밍이 그렇게 안 했던 게 그 좀 놀라우지 않으셨어요?
조금 놀라웠어요. 저희가 이 캐틀 소나 조합을 최근 경기에서 써보인 게 별로 없긴 했는데 옛날에 되게 이 조합으로 상대방 라인을 많이 압살했어가지고 놀라웠어요.
Yeah, so it was surprising to me because back in the day, a while ago, we used to destroy our opponents using that combination. So yeah, it was surprising to me.
And after obviously a great win versus Gambit, you've got revenge. How do you feel your group stage chances are now?
그 갬빗을 상대로 복수를 이제 하셨는데 이 그룹 스테이지에서 그 진출한 가능성에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시는지요?
가능성 잘 모르겠는데 최대한 많이 노력해서 올라가야겠죠.
Chances. I'm not sure about the chances, but we'll try our best and make sure that we advance. I mean, we gotta try.
And we asked Matta the same question. Obviously, he feels you guys, you, Imp and Matta, best combo in the worlds right now. Do you agree with that sentiment? Are you the best at that bottom lane?
이 질문은 마타 선수에게도 제가 했었는데요. 그 본인과 마타 선수가 그 최고의 봇 조합이라고 마타 선수는 그렇게 생각한다고 얘기를 했는데 임프 선수도 그렇게 생각하시는지요?
저희가 옛날에 처음 보듀오를 서게 됐을 때 그땐 둘 다 최고란 말이 없어가지고 되게 노력을 많이 했던 것 같아요. 최고의 자리에 올라서기 위해. 그런데 막상 최고 소리만 들으니까 더 노력을 안 하고 뭔가 옛날엔 뺏는 입장이었는데 이제 지켜야 될 그런 입장이 되니까 많이 뭐라 해야 되지? 과감한 플레이 이런 걸 못 보여주고 그냥 옛날보다 열정이 많이 사라진 것 같아요.
Back in the day when we first started playing together, people didn't say we were the best, so we really tried hard. And once people kind of started saying that we were the best, that kind of passion and the effort waned a little bit. And we stopped playing aggressive and we stopped making highlight plays. And overall, we just, the passion was kind of, we had less passion. So I believe we're going to try hard. We're going to try again.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Imp, and best of luck with the rest of the tournament for Ozone. So now let's head over to Quickshot and Kobe, who will be standing by with the next match.
Thank you very much, D-Man. It is time for our second rematch of the day. Europe's Fnatic versus North America's Vulcun. And even though xPeke and Fnatic lost their very first game here at Worlds to Vulcun, they bounced back to pick up the winning spree, or 3 games over the last couple of days. I'm 100% sure that Fnatic are excited to have another shot here at Vulcun.
Yeah, the first match between these two teams was where Fnatic has looked the worst and Vulcun has looked the best. It's pretty much the best they've played this entire tournament. Vulcun started the match with a red side invade and picked up 2 easy kills, including mancloud taking out xPeke. And once mancloud got that lead on xPeke, he made xPeke start playing defensively and never allowed him back into the game.
Yeah, but since that match, these two teams have gone in opposite directions. Vulcun has lost 2 of 3 matches, and even in the game they won, they were looking very shaky. While Fnatic has reeled off 3 victories in a row and sit on top of the Group B standings. That's pretty much been the modus operandi for Fnatic all season long. After a shaky start and some stress over the roster, xPeke and his team have worked their way back into the World Championship after winning the title all the way back in Season 1.
At first it was all about qualifying. Now that we're qualified, it's all about doing good there.
I know that for Fnatic it was a huge thing. What happened last year and what happened this year is like, I think they couldn't be more happier.
It's gonna be really, really good. Gonna see all the good teams. Gonna get to meet the Korean teams finally and face them.
I'm really excited. I've been there last year and it was already crazy.
Like after Gamescom, we stopped for a few days, and after that we were playing every day, but there were not many teams to practice against.
The pro teams are now taking a break after not qualifying. I understand, I would have done the same.
We could only play Lemon Dog and Copenhagen Wolves, so we were just practicing those two teams mostly.
Our team right now is really motivated. Everyone wants to play.
Pushu, he was so close to having that MVP, I feel like. They obviously felt he was a good part of that victory.
When I joined Fnatic, it was like they told me that the Reckless will be playing Worlds. So when Riot said that he can't play the whole tournament, they were kind of thinking what they had to do.
It's really bad for not only for us, but for them, if we had to practice with two different ADs at the same time. So the best is just to take Pushu and go with him, practice with him a lot, and he's doing good. He saw that he can play at the top level. I think he improved a lot and he deserved to be there now. Probably when we were the strongest when we were with like the first roster we had back at Season 1. But besides that, I think right now we are at a really good point. Even if I'm playing 3 years, I'm improving a lot all the time. And the good thing is Synar improved a lot as well in the jungle. Like there was a point where he was kind of lost in jungle, but he played a lot, he improved, and I think right now he kind of knows what to do, and our bot lane as well.
At the beginning, our bot lane was not really strong at all because I had to first switch from AD to support.
If we were at the stage we were at the beginning of LCS, I would be really scared right now, but right now we improved so much together, and I think we can do fine.
Everyone is saying that the EU region is the worst because we've seen at All-Stars, but we'll see at the World Championship, and I hope we'll prove them wrong.
Very nice words from Yellowstar at the end.
Yeah.
We'll see how EU does at the World Championships. As it stands, Fnatic are doing pretty well.
I think Pushu deserves to be here as well. I'm
yeah.
glad they brought him.
His performance at Gamescom was fantastic, and it's a difficult place to be in when you consider he's going to be replaced once Reckless turns 17, which is tomorrow, I think. It's pretty close. Anyways, guys, let's check out the starting lineups for tonight's showdown. On the blue bars, it is going to be Fnatic this time round. sOAZ in the top lane, Synar in the jungle. Mid lane is going to be xPeke with Pushu and Yellowstar as your AD carry and support.
And in the red, it's Vulcun. Psycho Sid is up top. Xmithie's in the jungle. mancloud's mid. Zuna's AD carry. And Bloodwater is supporting.
So we are about to jump into Champion Select. This is, of course, a rematch. Vulcun convincingly won the previous game between these two teams. And we argued that the picks and ban phase was potentially the most important. We'll have to see if Fnatic have learned from that.
Man, did the analysts really give Fnatic flack for picking that Yorick last? And Fnatic even, they admitted, weren't exactly sure where they were going with that. It was just kind of sOAZ liked Yorick, and he usually has good laning with him.
Well,
I think they'll be more focused this time.
I definitely think so. This time round, we do see that Vi is going to be taken away, so that is definitely targeted at Xmithie. He's played 3 out of his 4 games, and I love Xmithie's Vi. It's definitely one of the most influential changes that Vulcun have had in terms of starting fights.
Like Double F said, though, Xmithie plays all the jungle champions, so banning out one of them isn't going to be a very big deal for him. Mostly that just means that the Vi level 6 gank at mid is not going to be there. They won't have that guaranteed ability to lock the opponent mid laner in place that will line him up for anything that mancloud wants to use. That's why Vi is so highly prized in these mid-centric games, is because she guarantees you to hit your skill shots.
Well, we'll see how this works out. Fnatic do have Ahri up and available. We know how Peke likes to play, but the question is, have Vulcun planned this out? Are they aware of this thought? Corki and Oriana were the last 2 bans, so a lot of powerful champions still up and available. Elise is another priority pick, I think, for actually both of these teams, I would say.
That's interesting that they did leave that Ahri up, because that is definitely a go-to pick for Peke. The speed with which Vulcun locked in their first 2 picks, though, they definitely knew that Peke was going to bite on that one. So Mandatory Cloud, I feel like he's okay with laning against a teleport Ahri. Whenever Peke does have Ahri, taking that teleport, foregoing the ignite, makes him a little bit less dangerous in lane because it's not a combat summoner, and someone like Mandatory Cloud can take advantage of you if you don't have the extra power of ignite. The other thing I just want to note is that it is Pirate Day today. I asked Cyanide if he would please jungle Gangplank. I don't believe he'll go through with it, but at least he gave me the shout out here.
At least he did. Our matey indeed. We'll have to see. It's been a long time since we've seen Gangplank.
That was okay. Put a little more into it next time.
So we do see Fnatic flicking over. They have not locked in either Gangplank or Yorick, toying between the different picks. Now, if this Ashe is locked in, which it was banned against Fnatic by Vulcun the first time these two teams played.
They actually did not have Ashe banned against them in the other games here, though, and they did not pick up that Ashe. They went something like Varus multiple times, so it's interesting that going up against Vulcun this time, they do go back to this Ashe Zyra combo, which was so good for them at Gamescom. That was really the crux of their strategy during Gamescom, is this Ashe Zyra plus Ahri. They can have Ahri split pushing as long as Peke gets off to a good start. He's an amazing split pusher on Ahri, great duelist, has that teleport. And then Ashe and Zyra are wonderful at defending turrets 4 versus 5 because they have so much counter engage, and they're also good at turning the head. As soon as the teleport comes in with that Ahri, joining the battle, they can engage with Crystal Arrow.
Well, we'll see how this works out for them. I was going to highlight that with that Zyra takeaway from Vulcun, that's Bloodwater's 3 or 4 games being played on Zyra. So not only is it that immense control, you're denying it from Bloodwater. He is going to fall back onto Sona. This will be the second time he's playing it here on Worlds. Those are his 2 champs. You know what I mean? It's not like...
He's a big fan of Sona.
Exactly.
I don't think that's going to hurt him too hard. But with the Lissandra lock-in after Ahri's been taken here, I'm pretty sure Vulcun are going to look to pick off Peke, because Lissandra's actually very good at, if there's any lapse in vision, her plus Xmithie, it's going to be a mancloud plus Xmithie combo here to prey on Peke and catch him out if he does go split pushing. There's no teleports right now on Fnatic, which is very uncharacteristic of Fnatic. They usually have sOAZ or Peke running a teleport, so maybe my previous point is invalid.
sOAZ was sitting on teleport for a very long time and has only just recently switched that over to Ignite. To round out the Fnatic composition, it is going to be that Lee Sin and the Zac. So they have got immense initiation, they've got immense utility, they've got an assassin in the form of Ahri. I feel like Fnatic have got a very well-rounded comp here. They can do many things well.
They've got really good hard engage with that endgame Crystal Arrow plus Zac Elastic Slingshots following that up. Very, very long range engage here from this Fnatic team. And, you know, if they don't actually end up taking one of those teleports, then the split push will be a little bit harder to pull off. But having Ignite makes Ahri a much better duelist. And if she can't outmatch 1 versus 1 up mid, then she'll actually have a much bigger upper hand in those fights, rather than running that teleport and running the risk of going down to that mancloud Xmithie combo.
Well, I very much like the lock-in of this Vladimir. Gonna allow him to, at the very least, dodge the arrow. And in late game team fights, that could mean someone else is going to eat an arrow to the face if he sanguine pulls underneath it. But this is something that we've seen a fair amount of. Vlad is a sort of fringe pick. We don't see it all too often, but he's there.
Yeah, it's always funny to watch you dodge an arrow just to have it hit your AD carry right behind you, which is even worse. The thing, though, with the last pick, Vlad, I love this pick against Zac. Zac does not have early spike damage. He has no pressure on a Vladimir where Vladimir is weakest. So Vulcun are definitely going to want to get that matchup of Zac versus Vlad. Expect to see some deep wards, probably one of those ozone lane wards, so that Vulcun can get the matchup that they want here, because Vlad scales up very well against Zac, and he becomes a split pushing monster, especially running Flash Ghost.
Well, we'll see how it works out for them. You guys have been voting on this match at home, so let's see who you guys think is actually going to win this one. According to LOLesports.com, 75% of the fans are sitting with Fnatic right now. Double have picked Vulcun, and the rest of the casters, as well as Monty and Crepo, they've sided with Fnatic
That
as well.
is pretty overwhelming right there. You just have to remember, they're probably going off that last game, which was the opposite team won. So Vulcun won the first round here versus Fnatic. They're thinking the same thing will happen today.
Well, we'll have to see if the rematches will work to secure the team that lost revenge in today's games, because we are going to be seeing a number of them. We're busy loading up into this matchup, and I imagine that the early couple minutes is going to be so crucially important. Fnatic gave away those kills against Vulcun last time. You can see we are jumping into the game in just a moment's time. This is going to be Fnatic versus Vulcun, game 2 here of day 4.
We do, again, have a Caitlyn plus Sona lane, though. So You have to watch out for the early turret pressure from Vulcun from that bottom duo lane, or whichever lane they end up going in.
Well, we'll see if Vulcun can make it work for them.
All right, Peke did go with the teleport. He almost tricked us.
No, he almost tricked you. You
Okay.
were doubting yourself. You were doubting yourself. And at the last moment, Peke did lock in that teleport. So as this time round with Flash and Ignite on that Zac. So he's going to be looking to secure some kills in this early to mid game.
So the thing here is, this is Fnatic's very clear playstyle that everyone always talks about. Oh, it's so weird to play against. Crepo and Montecristo were saying this style is so strong that without actually playing against it, they didn't think Vulcun would come up with a counter. But Vulcun are very much aware of this signature Fnatic style, and Bloodwater does a lot of work beforehand to come up with counter plans here for Vulcun. So we'll have to see if this one's actually going to pay off. This will be very interesting because all the research has definitely been done for Vulcun. Just can they execute?
And this is going to be the first time that we're seeing sOAZ or mancloud on Vladimir and Alessandro respectively here at Worlds. We'll see how well that double AP composition stacks up. As it stands, very defensive starts from both of these teams. Neither team has been able to get that very deep lane vision ward that we've talked about, but it does look like they're matching up in their respective 2v2s and 1v1 lanes.
I think this is pretty good for Vulcun here. They're going to have that Vlad versus Zac, which they want. And then Bloodwater actually might get chunked out early. This could change the bottom lanes. We've seen a couple face checks already from bottom lanes, and that can definitely swing the tide of that matchup, especially going up against an Ashe who's got a first hit crit.
Well, luckily for Bloodwater and Zuna, they've been able to avoid it right now. We see Cyanide is actually soloing that blue buff. Hasn't had much assistance there from sOAZ, whereas sOAZ was able to put a fair amount of damage on Xmithie's Lizard, that red buff. So going to have a little bit more HP to work with. We do see in this bottom lane they have set up, and some early poke going down from Pushum. Yellowstar gives them an HP advantage for the time being.
Yep, they got the early win on the trade there. You have to note that while Caitlyn's got the highest range, Ashe and Zyra are not far behind. This lane is very, very close in range to a Caitlyn here, and Pushu made good use of the first crit, whereas Bloodwater on his Sona, trying to get off that power cord. He charged the power cord up in the fountain and then tried to come to lane to use it for an early advantage, but he took 2 hits in exchange for it, and they actually came out behind here. So very early lane domination here from Fnatic.
That's definitely something that they wanted to establish early on.
Oh, Zuna!
So low, 200 HP, no flash or barrier burn though. Just Yellowstar playing the poke game incredibly well. Remember, Yellowstar used to be the AD carry for Fnatic, so he's going to be well aware of the timing and the positioning of Zuna going in to land those last hits, and Yellowstar's playing it perfectly. He's taking a lot of poke damage in return from Bloodwater though. Zuna's just going to hang as far back as possible and try to hold on with as much CS as possible.
Meanwhile, Cyanide actually getting a little bit ahead of Xmithie in gold because he cleared another camp, whereas Xmithie walked onto a ward.
Peke just lands a nice little love tap there onto Xmithie. Face planted that charm and the Orb of Deception. We do see Yellowstar, his cookie has been eaten right now, sitting with a potion and a ward left in his inventory. Still trying to play that poke game, but Zuna's done well. He's held back far enough, and Bloodwater's spamming out those heals to keep him topped up.
Yeah, they've got the sustain advantage here with the Caitlyn Sona. Double was saying sustain is crucial going up against the Caitlyn lane, but Ashe and Zyra are making good use of their poke. Look at this rotation, though, from sOAZ, all the way from top lane to pressure Mandatory Cloud.
Well, we see mancloud is low on mana, and he has decided to back away. sOAZ is going to try to return to lane without losing too much CS. And with the impact that mancloud had in the previous game, he was playing Orianna, and I think he went something like 7-1, something or other towards the end. They definitely don't want to allow him to get ahead with Lissandra, especially because both Peke and sOAZ play the champion. They're going to be well aware of its capabilities.
And she has amazing lockdown. She can keep you in place for a long time by herself, but she's going to need some other source of damage. Her soloing Ahri is a little bit difficult because the extra damage was taken down on her a little bit to compensate for how much crowd control she does have.
So we'll see as we are getting closer to level 6. mancloud is very low on mana, but thanks to Lissandra's passive, going to be able to have some free spell casts every now and again. He's going to decide to back away now. With that 36 CS in his back pocket. We'll see what he decides to pick up. We see Xmithie has already secured himself a pink ward after going back and going to try and get some vision control. A pink ward secured for mancloud as well. So definitely placing some importance on this early game vision against Fnatic. They don't want to get caught up by those rotations and potential ganks that sOAZ and Sun have already been looking at, trying to see if they can taste victory.
Yeah, it's very uneventful early game here. Some more good wards coming out and some heavy jungle farming from Cyanide here. He is slowly getting a little bit ahead of Xmithie. Meanwhile, the mid lane definitely went Peke's favor as he was able to shove one minion wave up before Mandatory Cloud arrived. But since Lissandra a little bit slower at pushing, he's going to arrive in time to grab these ones up.
And we see a slightly different build here from xPeke. He's gone with that Chalice of Harmony, early magic resistance against Elise, Vlad, and Lissandra. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, double AP. It's actually a triple AP because their jungler is AP as well. And he's only really worried in the early game about that combo of the Lissandra plus the Elise bursting him down. So I really like going this Chalice instead of, something that the Chinese teams were opting for with rushing the
Abyssal Scepters. Charm's going out. That's the first one we've seen Peke miss. He got some decent damage on mancloud. He was hanging out in the river. Right now, Pusher and Yellowstar are extended.
They got the exhaust
down. We see Xmithie has been rooted in place. Yellowstar's been able to save Pusher for a while. He does flash, gets away from the cocoon. Tower damage is there. The barrier bait is up. Now the tower turns onto Bloodwater. First blood is secured, but look in the background. Peke's used the teleport. He's been able to pick up one. Now barrier is down. Peke's low on mana. Zuna dropped to 150 HP. Final rush is going to be enough. Peke with the double kill, 3-for-1 to Fnatic.
That teleport definitely paying off right now. He's able to turn that completely around. Even though first blood going to Vulcun, 3 kills for Fnatic, all assisted.
And the first blood was secured with Bloodwater, the support. That's not ideal when it's your carries you want to give the gold to. Yellowstar and Peke trading as much damage on this tower as they can before their minion wave is taken out. And Peke hasn't even lost in form up in the top lane. Ignite is burning on Psycho Sid as sOAZ is going to have his cell division. Not even going to get popped just yet. But let's bounce. Hemoplay, Ghost Flash, everything blown in that top lane.
So many summoners are down for Vulcun now. Their bottom lane is no summoners as well. They do have a pink ward for this dragon though. And because Peke just recalled, it is going to be Vulcun actually answering with an objective. Very smart move right here. Even though they lost out on the kills, they took advantage of the low health of that mid laner to grab something back.
That keeps the gold basically even right now. 200 gold separates these two teams, and that's a good start. Cyanide trying to extend that a little bit further. Realizing the dragon was going on, he's going to steal away this red buff from under Vulcan's nose.
Very good counter here from Cyanide. Whenever you do have that vision of the opponent jungler, you need to take advantage of it. And all said, I think Fnatic still came out definitely ahead in that last foray down bottom. Even though Mandatory Cloud was able to shove mid, he's still behind in minions because Peke took a lot from the bottom lane.
As it stands right now, Pushu's returned to lane with those 2 assists with a BF sword. So it's going to be a lot of damage being traded if he can land.
Vladimir's trying to place his ward right now into Cyanide with red buff.
So Cyanide putting some very good damage down. Realizes Hemoplague's not up.
No
More is
summoners.
that. Take a look at that. The slingshot comes in. There's no bounce either. But the stretching slingshot does catch. Sid is slowed down. Red buff is up. It's going to be ticking. And Cyanide secures it. In the bottom lane, Pushu with the BF sword is going to secure a kill into Zuna. And Fnatic with a 5-1 kill lead are in great position right now.
Bloodwater not level 6, no crescendo for him. That means Zuna's gonna go down. Good job again, Fnatic taking advantage. No summoners there for Vulcun, top or bottom, so they get repeat kills.
As it stands right now, Xmithie's trying to set something up in the mid lane. Spirit Rush is available. Peke dashes to the right, has 2 more procs available, and he's going to be able to stay out of range of that cocoon and does actually get out cleanly. Now, Yellowstar and Pushu are applying damage to this tower, and it's a couple auto attacks away. This is going to be first tower of the game. Falling to these minions, most likely, Fnatic are going to try to even up this global objective score.
Okay, so minions do get that early turret, but the dragon was already taken by Vulcun, so they won't, that extra control for the bottom lane won't do a lot for them in the near future. And we'll have to see at this point, will Zuna go the route of Genja and freeze that bottom lane? Or will he try and shove it back and get his team some more pressure on their map elsewhere.
Well, talking about decision-making of players, mancloud's going the way of xPeke from game 1 with his Lissandra. His first big item is a Negatron Cloak. That didn't work out for Peke when they played Vulcun. He didn't have the damage necessary, and we see he has to deal with Peke's early fiendish codex and presence, and mancloud's got the defensive start.
Yeah, well, he's definitely thinking there's 2 solo lane APs up there, and then his team has the Elise and the Vladimir as well, so someone over there with an Abyssal Scepter will be nice in the late game, pulling down the magic resist of Fnatic. Means that his lane right now in the middle is going to be safer, yet the kill potential is not very high at all.
mancloud now falling further and further behind. Over 20 CS behind Peke right now. Teleport will be up in the not too distant future. It's around about 20-25 seconds on that cooldown. And we'll have to see whether or not Fnatic want to make another play. There's no tower on that bottom lane. So if Zuna and Bloodwater stay extended trying to farm, they're at risk of being jumped on by Peke's Ahri.
Yeah, so far it looks like, even though Vulcun have had so much footage of this Fnatic, pretty much this exact Fnatic style, not doing a great job of adapting. The early teleport really turned this in Fnatic's favor.
Once again, giving away that Ahri. It's something that Vulcun did during picks and bans. Their final ban was Orianna and not Ahri. Right now, Fnatic grouping up in this mid lane. There's 4 of them here available, trying and shove down this lane. You can see Zuna not freezing lane in his tower, instead pushing it down towards Fnatic. And Fnatic going to get a 4 versus 3 potential. Remember, Enchanted Crystal Arrow is up if anyone steps out of line.
mancloud does have his ultimate ready, but he's stunned right now.
Does get rooted down. Stranglethorns throws them up, and that's a pretty awkward engagement for Fnatic. They didn't seem to commit to it.
Look, they chunked out half of Mandatory Cloud's life, though. That is one of the weaknesses of Lissandra. Yes, she does have an immunity that she can cast. However, she can't do anything if she gets CC'd from 100% to 0. They didn't dive in on that one because they couldn't chain them. But still, chunking him out to 50% means there's not a lot of aggression they can return.
A lot of damage going onto that tower as well, dropping into a couple hundred hit points. We see that Pushu. He's returned to the bottom lane to stay even on CS with Zuna. However, he's sitting on that pickaxe and BF sword, so significantly higher attack damage to the Vamp Scepter Berserker's Greaves that Zuna has to deal with. Now we see Sid and sOAZ. They continue their island battle, as it were. Both of these top laners, for both of these teams, in fact, play that stick alone in the top lane. That's a crescendo into a Glacial Doom. Peke is going to Spirit Rush away.
Oh,
he's still alive.
Cyanide.
He survives. The Cyanide takes the ace in the hole. The Grasping Roots in the background locks up Vulcun. And in actual fact, it's Fnatic that pick up a kill. Here comes sOAZ. Slingshots in. He interrupts mancloud. mancloud cannot get away with the Claw of Doom. It signals his doom. Zuna flashes forward. Cyanide gets away with about 10 HP. Now they turn their attention onto Zuna. Ignite's ticking. It's not going to be enough to pick up the kill. But Fnatic grab 2, and all of a sudden, Peke wants to play with Psycho Sid. No Spirit Rush. Sid's going to get away.
Sid will easily be able to ghost out of that. But the dive right there, where they tried to hold down Ahri, was the plan with Lissandra. They even used Crescendo for that as well. But a beautiful body block from Cyanide, saving Peke's life. And then there was just not enough damage with that Lissandra going Negatron Cloak early. Also, Cyanide was able to get out of that alive. Again, Lissandra, huge weakness with being interrupted by crowd controls. Amazingly played there by Fnatic.
Fnatic are now 4,000 gold in the lead. They're going to secure their 4th tower of the game. They have the bottom inner turret. They have all outer turrets. And Peke, even though he doesn't have teleport, he's going to be playing the split push role. Kobe, it's almost like you know how Fnatic play.
Well, yeah. we talked about it before. Teams are very aware of this. It looks like Vulcun are trying to answer that split push with this dragon.
Oh, the Ash Arrow goes in. It's not going to be enough. Xmithie's going to be able to smite that one. Cyanide actually one of the best smite stealers in the business. Not this time,
It's worth noting that was extremely impressive there by Xmithie. He was able to get it away. Cyanide known for stealing dragons.
Peke just got his Spirit Rush available, so if Sid gets caught by another charm like that, Peke may have enough damage to kill him. Got the needlessly large rod plus that Athenes and Holy Grail already completed, and a very healthy CS lead over his opposite number. There's no MR for Sid to deal with it. He can sustain well, but he's not going to survive the burst super efficiently.
And it's definitely up to him to deal with this Peke split push too. So we'll have to see how that one turns out later and how the vision control of this Lizard side Vulcan jungle does turn out. Because right now, Fnatic are taking advantage of this Caitlyn bottom. They pretty much have free reign over the red buff.
This is the second red buff steal in a row for Fnatic. The last one went to Cyanide. Once again, Sid gets charmed up by Peke. A lot of damage goes down. Here comes sOAZ from the backline. They're just trying to focus down this turret. Peke eating a ton of turret hits.
Zuna has recalled though, so Caitlyn will be joining the Vulcan team. If Fnatic try and stick around to finish off this turret, it would be very dangerous.
Oh, Peke, realizing he's dropped very low, has fallen backwards. That would have been tower number 5 for Fnatic if they'd stuck around, but they have not. And you have to imagine that once Peke rejoins that lane, it won't take him too long to be able to actually finish off that last couple of hits.
Thing is, it's so early that it's very hard at 16 minutes in here for Bloodwater to get an Oracles and clear out this vision. It looks like he's going for it though. He's bought an Oracles plus a vision ward here. He's going to do his best to clear out all of the wards that Fnatic just placed in their red side invade. The only thing is they've already stolen away the crucial thing in that jungle, which is the red buff. Now they'll be looking for picks there.
Well, Pushu once again returning to that bottom lane just as that very large wave of minions is about to crash into his tower. He has the red and had the blue buff available, so can allow him to just clear out that wave even quicker. In the mid, we see sOAZ trying to set a fight up. In fact, does have that slingshot available if he wants to jump in instead. Just the presence of sOAZ, Peke, and Cyanide is enough to force Vulcan backwards, and they're not even able to contest in 3v5. They weren't fully aware of where
they have to be very, very careful because of the Crystal Arrow. That's always got to be in the back of your mind whenever you're playing against an Ashe team. They can initiate from so far away. Crystal Arrow into Elastic Slingshot.
And we've already seen Pushu throwing out that arrow onto mancloud the last time the mid tower was under pressure. Look at Yellowstar and Peke's positioning. With Flash and Spirit Rush available, Peke may actually just dive over a wall if anyone eats that giant enchanted crystal arrow. A bunch of wards going down trying to get vision. You can see this is what Fnatic are currently dealing with. It's just a matter of seeing who steps out of line first.
Peke also has his Deathfire Grasp. So he's looking to 100% either Zuna or Bloodwater. He got the charm!
Charm does land on Bloodwater. It's not going to be enough. First proc of Spirit Rush. I think it was used there by Peke. We'll see if he decides to continue. And Yellowstar's hanging around on the backside. Spirit Rush proc 2 is down. Glacial Doom comes out. Now the arrow does catch Sid. That is immense. There's been no Hemoplay yet. They've traded mid laner for support in mid lane. Now Sid forced backwards. The Hemoplay goes out, only catching Pushu. That's not going to be enough to kill him. Psycho Sid's going to be the next victim as we do see the Cell division coming up. Cyanide has got a double kill in the background, and Zuna, the only member of Vulcan to survive. Fnatic now turn their attention to this mid inner turret. Zuna's still alive, but he can't defend against 4.
Again, Vulcan used everything to burst down Peke there. They get him, but now they're going to get Ace.
Cyanide jumped in. He didn't even use his Dragon Rage. Zuna now on the other side. Root comes out, not going to be enough. Stretching strike from sOAZ finishes it up. That's a delayed ace from Fnatic and tower number 5 to stack it up.
Cyanide trying to kick him back into the rest of his team. Okay, so they get Peke with the ult into the crescendo, into the Zyra knockup. Very good answer here from Yellowstar to counter all of the initiate that Vulcan put out. And that Zyra Stranglethorn just won them the engage. Knocked everybody up after Burning Crescendo, as well as the Ice Tomb. There was no more left for Vulcan.
Vulcan basically became a flying team in that engagement. So many knockups coming in from Zac, from Zyra. They couldn't do a thing. Now mancloud's trying to pick up his blue buff. We see Xmithie.
Oh,
he
Xmithie
does get charmed. Here comes Peke. DFG was used. Second proc of Spirit Rush. The third one still going to be used to finish off the blue. And that's another kill going to Fnatic. This time landing in Yellowstar's hands. 3-0-8.
At this point, Peke also has all the things that he needs to be a solo split pusher. He's got his magic resist. He also has his Deathfire, which is the killing potential, but he's used everything in that last pick.
Hemoplay did go down. A good charm onto mancloud. Now Glacial Prison is available, but you see mancloud decides not to chase, decides to fall backwards. Pushu's going to land his last auto attack to secure tower number 6 and give Fnatic an even bigger gold lead. That's around about 8,000 gold right now. It's actually Pushu taking the turn on doing that split pushing. Fnatic's so far ahead, they can admit they're already carried.
Well, yeah, it's Peke down bottom pulling resources over to his side of the map. Very confident Ashe play right there because of the hog shot, even though they don't have wards in red side anymore. Able to get another turret for Fnatic, and they are looking like they're going to run away with this one. Crepo and Monty may have been right there. Seeing the Fnatic play style is not the same as actually playing against it and practicing.
And I have to question the Lissandra pick as well. It hasn't worked out for mancloud. He's such a strong player, and you feel that maybe on other champions could have done more. Now, red buff is going to be secured here for Vulcun. This is the first one in 3 that they've been able to get their hands on. You see Pushu and the rest of Fnatic, they are pushing up the mid lane. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is available. You see Yellow Star, he's clearing out wards at Baron, so keep that in mind. Now, Peke threw the charm out. If mancloud had landed, and it would have caught, but not this time. Now they've kept the Ash Arrow down onto Xmithie. He has no repel to fall backwards. xPeke does get locked up by the tube. Crescendo catches him and Pushu, which is immense. We do see that a great survive there as the locket of the Island Solari keeps Peke alive. Now Pushu turns his focus onto Sid. That's 4 quick kills back to back to back. And that locket keeping Peke alive. That's the tower down. This is going to be the inhibitor as well. And Fnatic may continue to push.
That was very beautiful play there by Pushu, picking up those last 3 kills, going under the turret. But again, the Frozen Tomb into Crescendo onto Peke seems to be what Vulcun were having as the answer, and it did not work out. There's a surrender.
Vulcun calling it quits at 21 minutes, 30 seconds. Fnatic now convincingly in the lead of Group B. And it's hard to find faults in the gameplay. Vulcun simply outplayed.
The whole time that I was over there at Gamescom with you, watching Fnatic play live for the first time, and they kept on getting Ashe Zyra and Ahri or Fizz with teleport split push. Nobody really had an answer even over in EU. I don't think many teams are going to want to give them that combo again.
Well, very first time Vulcun played them, they banned Ashe out. Vulcun they knew that it could come. They'd done their prep. They banned it in game 1. Game 2 let it slip through, and Fnatic snapped it up. I mean, that was their 2nd and 3rd pick. Ashe Zyra said, thank you very much. We've got Ahri, we've got Ashe Zyra. Like, whoever else we pick, doesn't really matter. We got the core elements of our comp.
Yeah, they got all 3 right off the bat, and Peke didn't even have to do that much split pushing that game. He used his teleport early to get the early advantage, and after that, he just got too many items.
Before this game, Peke had a 10 KDA over the first 4 games they've played. I see that Pushu had an 11 KDA. That's just going to get even higher. They started off really badly against Vulcun. Vulcun completely smashed them. And since that game onwards, Fnatic have just gotten better and better and better. And who's going to stop them?
No Yorick, then no win for Vulcun.
Guys, let's send this one over to Riv and crew for a breakdown of Fnatic's incredibly strong win.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and an incredibly strong win indeed. Coming out of that game, Doublelift with the only pick on to Vulcun. However, it did not go through. You guys
How does it feel?
advancing in that?
I was wrong.
We went with the love. Vulcun felt the love, but couldn't feel for the win. It was a few mistakes, as we had picked out before. We're going to start with picks and bans, however, right off the bat. Freak, what were we seeing in this? We were saying both teams kind of pretty much got the cream of the crop there, but it was an execution.
Yeah, these teams both got to run, I think, really solid compositions. They executed their own game plans. It wasn't like one of those Ozone, we're playing Rise because it's all we can play sort of things. It was they got to run comps they actually wanted. And it's actually what I was speaking to in the pregame about the fact that the champion pools for AD carries as well as mid laners in Europe are a little bit bigger, because here's the Ashe coming out, the Ashe Zyra combo, of course, that has been popularized.
Our first Ashe, yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised to not see it sooner. But.
Yeah,
The rise of Corki kind of helped with that, though.
Sure, of course, but even with all these options on the table and all these other carries available, it's the fact that you've got guys who are familiar running a lot of utility AD carries to bring other elements to the team, and you saw it work really well right there for Fnatic.
What I liked about the picks and bans was I actually really liked the team compositions coming out of both sides, because you had a really strong pick comp with the teleport Ahri, Ashe, Zyra, Lee, and Zac, able to really punish positional mistakes. But if we look at Vulcun, Caitlyn, Elise, Lissandra, Sona, Vladimir, with that Spirit of the Spectral Wraith Vlad, you have a really strong 4-1 split push because they've got a solid siege core. And once Vlad starts getting rolling, if Vlad starts getting rolling, he's so difficult to stop. And that Ghost Flash combo on Vlad with Spectral Wraith was, we originally saw Reaper playing it in Korea, Jin Air Falcons, and then that transitioned over into like a lot of Flames play on Blaze as well. So that's where this kind of strategy comes from. But it is really, really difficult because you always have to send 2 people to stop the Vlad. And with double summoners, and if he skills into utility with the CDR, or the summoner spell reduction, he can just get away every time.
Yeah, and I really like both of these team comps, but I agree Fnatic picked way better than Vulcun this game. If you think about Vulcan's comp, Vlad has to get going before he's able to have any game impact, whereas Zach is just always strong throughout the game. Basically, Vulcan has to play perfectly and not die, which is exactly what they did for their comp to work, because Vlad has to actually be able to put a lot of tower pressure in the side lanes before they can start having that 4-man siege. So obviously Vulcan just misplayed really badly bottom lane, and that snowballed the game.
There's actually something that happened top lane as well, as sOAZ, though he was behind in minion kills, started making moves top lane actually. He actually burned the summoner spells of Sid fairly early on, around level 6-7, and that allowed Cyanide to then show up for a gank. And it's like, oh, he doesn't have flash. It's pretty much a free kill. Just will kill the Vlad, no problem. And that happened there. And it let also the Vlad stop from getting big, as you pointed out.
At the same time, though, if we wouldn't have had the early mistakes from Vulcan, the team fight they had was really scary. Because now the team fights we saw were like wombo combos and really one-sided. But if you have to fight against like triple invulnerability almost, with Lissandra being able to ulti yourself, Vladimir pulling, Kaelin being untouchable, it's going to be really hard for Fnatic to fight that on even levels. But they really played the pick comp well. They really played well with the teleport as well. And they just got the lead they needed.
Well, with that early lead, too, we saw that Vulcan couldn't really play that split push style. And if you're going Spectral Wraith Vlad, that is not for team fighting. You want Zhonya's on that team fighting Vlad. So if you get to a point where Fnatic is forcing 5v5s on you with the Spectral Wraith Vladimir, you're in really big trouble.
And talking about that early lead, we have a replay to show you. We'll get that up on your screen. Crepo's going to walk you through it. But before we start this off, Crepo, just kind of go through what your idea on this was and why we need to watch it again.
Okay, so this is a really vital point in the game. When First Blood happens, if Vulcan gets it, they get ahead enough so they can really stall for the late game, get their composition rolling. At the same time, Fnatic, if they have teleport, which needs to be respected. What's going to happen here later is basically Bloodwater will be walking forward, and that's really interesting because when bot lanes get ganked, sometimes you don't even need to see the jungler because you see a shift in behavioral patterns. If somebody's playing the same way all the time, moving back and forth on the same line, and suddenly he shifts his behavioral pattern forward, like Bloodwater will do once we're on the clip, it pretty much gives Fnatic, hey, what's going on? He would never play this aggressive. He hasn't played this aggressive. At least it's coming. So if we roll the crypt right now, we can see what happens. Sona goes forward, tries to get the exhaust on Ashe, which is a really good ID, but there comes Xmithie. He comes in, exhaust goes on Ashe, really good roots by Zyra, pops the ulti as well, doesn't have ulti yet. Flashes from Pushu, this is money. Money barrier right there. Baits Bloodwater under the tower, and at the same time, we didn't even see it, because that's how quick it went. xPeke teleports in, picks up Zuna for a 3-for-1 exchange.
Yeah, right on that ward that was nearly expired too. Couldn't have
Didn't even need the ward because they had the minions, and because they shift their behavior pattern so early, Fnatic can really call, say, hey, we're getting ganked. They don't even need to see the jungle yet, we're getting ganked. Which means Peke has about 5 seconds to move away, teleport, and still be in time to pick all those kills
all the
up.
time in the world.
And there was actually even a pink ward that Vulcan had put down in the brush right above the lizard camp to guarantee that that gank path did not have wards on it. They know he was coming in from darkness, and we still see the Sona come up.
You should always make sure you let the jungler reveal himself before you go, unless the only other option is flash exhaust by Sona, guaranteeing that the Ashe is locked up.
And that's just like a straight out of the book of risk versus reward, because I feel like there's a lot of ways to misplay that, especially mostly because of xPeke taking TP. And you should respect the fact that Fnatic always turns around bottom lane ganks with TP. You see that a lot in their games, even here. And all Vulcan really had to do was wait for Vlad to get big. They didn't have to make any big plays. They didn't have to snowball their lanes to win the game. They just had to take it nice and slow and just make sure that Vlad was getting big.
Well, quickly for that play in the bottom lane that we just watched from Crepo, as an AD carry, when is it the right move to move in? Because you're going to have to be able to catch up to your jungler. When is that, the 50-50 call to make it right or wrong?
Well, I think it's best to coordinate it so that both of you are there at the same time. Like, if Sona had waited 2 or 3 seconds, and then the second that they see Elise, then you start moving forward and you both sandwich them, when they're overextended, that's the best time. It was a big tell when Sona just started moving forward.
You have to understand why she did it, though. We don't want to really bash him. Because basically,
of course,
the guy was moving back and forth on last hits, and every time, it's really scary as a support when you know you have an exhaust to slow people down. Once people back and forth in the last hits, you think, okay, he's going to run. If he spots Elise now, we can never catch up. Basically, you have to wait for somebody to go for a last hit. That works with anything in lane. Trades, baits, whatever. So whenever somebody's last hitting, they're occupied, they're busy, their auto attacks on cooldown rather, and then you can capitalize.
All right, so where do we see Fnatic obviously going from here? A win over Vulcun that was quite strong. We saw it. No falters, especially the wombo combos coming in. They used the composition extensively.
Cyanide played really, really well this game.
Cyanide, I believe he died 0 times.
Yeah, correct.
So.
Yeah.
Some saves with shield kicks, like turns around in middle. He flanked, turned around, and pushed by Vulcun, and just got a kill out of that and escaped.
And just overall, you know, anybody take this away. What's your overall thought on continuously picking new champions? Because we're definitely seeing a variety come out. We just saw the Ashe. We've seen different. We saw Nocturne in the first few days. It's the 4th day in here. People are still bringing out new things. How much does that affect the game?
I think that's really important for teams to display so much breadth. Now, you could say, well, I want to hide our strategies. I want to hide the Ashe Zyra, hope no one watched the EU regional, and then bring it out in the quarters or something against a team who doesn't know you. Okay, you can do that, and maybe that's the right call. But also, I just like the fact that teams can come out here and say, look, there's no point banning us out anymore. Like, you almost just sow more confusion into the pick-ban phase where you're like, look, you've got way too many viable options to ban away. You can't remove any of our options, and it's almost intimidating because there's no plan now for your opponents.
Yeah, and really there's no point in hiding anything in group stage, because if you don't make it out of groups, then what are you hiding it for? Like quarterfinals that you're not even going to make it into? Right now is crunch time. If you win and secure, and you make sure that Vulcun, well, right now Vulcun has 3 losses, so it's incredibly hard for them to make it out of the group stage, which makes it even easier for Fnatic to make it out.
This wide variety of champions actually makes it so that people can't really ban out a player anymore, but they have to start banning out strategies they don't play well against. And that separates the good teams from the best teams, because you can easily pinpoint a player with a small champion pool and say, hey, we're going to make sure that guy doesn't get into the game. But once the coaches have to really read, like this team has 3 different strategies in which 2 different champions are really the pinpoints, that's when League of Legends pick and bans phase. It starts to get really, really interesting.
So what do you have then when you have extra players? When you have players like Looper and Home or Big Pomelo and Coma? How much does that affect the game when you can put somebody new in with a completely different champion pool?
I mean, it would, but I mean, what we're seeing from Ozone is Shen Zach, which is what Ohm plays anyway.
Right,
So I feel like Looper is maybe just a little more versatile version of Ohm.
Okay.
And Big Pomelo Coma maybe a little different, but I don't think that those subs are as interesting. I think that's going to become the big question once Naj and Sword starts playing because Song and Nagne are very different players.
All right. So with that, let's take a look at the Group B standings. With their win, Fnatic jumps into a comfortable first-place lead. And earlier today, we asked you guys, with all these games, which player has surprised you the most in Group B so far, and why? And here's what you all had to say, and the Micey will win. The most surprising player from Darksteel19 says, for me, in the group stage is mancloud. He is usually so consistent, but he has had a rough time so far.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to explode out, and he did. But then he just kind of tapered off as the tournament has gone on. I haven't seen him put on nearly as good performance as he did against Dade. And it's just really surprising to me because I had such high expectations for him. I think maybe the nerves are getting to him, or really just like Vulcan's lack of cohesion, it seems.
Although this game, Peke was playing really, really far back. He was just saying, like, you can push me all day, I'll just farm, but I have my teleport to get around that. So that was really good.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really good because he couldn't get any like kills off. mancloud couldn't get any kills off on Peke because Peke was just basically under his tower, almost farming. Respected the jungle really hard.
Yeah, and that was actually a good read. I remember as we were watching the game back here at Double F, you were talking about, like, watch Xmithie. He's going to gank mid lane and own the mid lane all the time. Look how brutal it's going to be to fight Elise Lissandra. And Peke's like,
it was brutal.
Yes.
Not fighting this.
European mid laners are really just like on another level, I feel.
Well, especially though, I mean, xPeke is such a great Ahri player, but he plays Ahri very differently than anybody else, of course, with that teleport. But not only that, he always builds Athenes first, so he has that.
One of those only guys.
Yeah,
that
he has that extra little bit of MR too, which if you're talking about Elise and Lissandra, that's a great thing to have in that lane.
Alrighty, and the next one, Zazzleton, the late descendants of the Rivingtons. Puju has been a good surprise for me. He's really showing that he deserves to be here after people were shouting for Reckless. And this is actually interesting because even NA has seen players that they say, we're bringing him back, but then they don't.
Yeah, and this is interesting because, sure, yeah, people have subs in the roster and they're going to test people, and then the guys who work really well, of course, stay on the roster. And yeah, everyone, like, since the days of IPL 5 or way back when, was like, oh my gosh, Reckless is like the second coming of good AD carries in Europe. I can't wait till Europe have like really, really strong AD carries. He'll carry everyone. This is why Fnatic's doing well. And Pushu's just gotten better and better and better to the point where they're saying, you know what? No matter what, Push is going to play throughout the entire tournament because he's gotten us here. He's gelled with the team very well. He's going to do awesome. Then Reckless himself said, I'm not going to join Fnatic if they win the World Championship. If you believe him or not, he says, I'm not going to join because they're clearly the best team without me.
I actually know Reckles quite well, and I think this is the best situations for both of them. You don't want to be a sub coming in really cold in a World Championship when all the pressure is always... It's a little different for, let's say, Looper, because he's unknown, but if Reckles is really, really well respected, and imagine if he would do mediocre or bad here, he would get a lot of stuff thrown at him for it. While Pusu, he deserves it. He's been playing a really solid split. He's improving vastly, and this could be his mark on the League of Legends scene, and hopefully allowing him for him to stay competitive.
All right. And our next tweet from T. Franklin Bro says, my biggest surprise is Genja. He's been playing pretty well, and Trinity Force Kog'Maw is now a thing thanks to him. I don't know if everybody else is saying thanks to him, but we are seeing more Trinity Force Kog'Maw.
Yeah, it's an interesting build. Actually, I know we talked about this a little bit. I don't know if you still like the build anymore, Double Lift, but
I'm a hater.
He hasn't used it yet.
Still, oh sure, that's fair. But yeah, it gives you some extra sort of burst in there. You can be kind of a caster, which is sort of the Genja playstyle anyway. Gives them the movement speed and stuff. So yeah, it's fun, and Genja's always been someone to be pretty innovative.
All right, and Bolin Jim, our final one, says, Dade has surprised me the most. I was expecting Ozone to really dominate, but his performance has been underwhelming. So a surprise kind of in the different direction.
Yeah, Dade's performance has been underwhelming, and that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing this next game coming up here in a little bit between Fnatic and Ozone to see if he's actually gotten it back together, because he played a very strong mid-Ezreal earlier today, and it's a team-wide thing too, because Dandy hasn't been on point with the counter ganks either, so that game that we saw against Gambit, Dandy was much more on point. That really helped Dade out. So we'll have to see if they're back on form enough to take out Fnatic, who's looking extremely strong right now.
All right, gentlemen. We'll always move things along. Congratulations to the winners of the Logitech Gaming Mice. Those are some surprising tweets.
Now keep hitting us up with your picks. And for the surprise player all day, we are at Level Esports. Be sure to use the hashtag Worlds.
And speaking of surprises, most of you guys got that last game right, which is actually pretty surprising. So let's see if you can do it again for our third game of the day. We have Mneski versus Gambit. How are you guys feeling about this? Crepo, we'll launch it off with you.
I think I'm going to go for Gambit. I really hope I don't jinx him again.
All right, so we got a Gambit. Double lift?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to vote for Mneski here because they haven't won a game yet, so I'm just going to go with Gambit.
All right.
I'm agreeing. Gambit, I still think they're going to make it out of the group, so Gambit for me as well.
I decided to pick the names alphabetically, and Gambit came first, so that's my choice.
Awesome. You guys are definitely using some logic for these ones. We've got to take a quick break, but when we return, Mneski takes on Gambit in our third match of the day. Plus, Shox is going to talk to xPeke and sOAZ about their win. Don't go anywhere. The Season 3 World Championship, live from Los Angeles. We'll be right back.
Here comes sOAZ. Slingshots in. He interrupts mancloud. Mancloud cannot get away with the claw of doom. It signals his doom. Suna flashes forward. Cyanide gets away with about 10 HP.
Nice! Good job.
GG guys, well played.